Welcome back to the channel. This is Angelo Christmas and me documenting my journey to $20,000 per month with high ticket sales as a closer. Now, in today's video, quick recap in terms of where we're at in the month. Obviously, it's July now, and in terms of where we're at the moment with the offer that I went back to the fitness offer, I ended up deciding to just focus on that full time just so my focus is not split, especially since the lead flow on that trading offer was extremely slow. So, lead flow at the fitness offer is obviously better when it, than it was when I left, and I just decided that I'm gonna make that work and just give that my full focus. So started taking calls there. I only took calls for like 2 days or so, and I only booked like open for 5 slots a day because I left for like a month and I didn't really say anything. Uh, they said I should just start with 5 calls per day, and obviously once I get more closes under my belt, then I can just open up for as many as I want. Now, I took about 10 calls so far, only closed one, um, which is decent. I mean, not good. Obviously, I wanted to do more, but once I get like two, three closes under my belt, I'll obviously be able to do a lot more volume. So that's the goal for today, the rest of the week. Just ensure that, I give the calls I'm taking my best and I get some deals across the line, especially since it's a new month now. And the goal for this month will be to do at least 10K. So that's the goal for this month. Now, for today's video, I got a quite an interesting one for the channel. This is basically a video of me reviewing a call that my mentor did for me. He reviewed one of my sales calls that I closed for $3,000 that had no objections. So he did a session with me, he recorded it, he uploaded it on his channel, and now we basically going to be watching that review together and to see the call, how it went, and obviously his feedback in our takeaways. So it's quite an interesting one. So let's jump straight in.
Objectionless closes don't come from luck. It comes from consistent, deliberate actions. When you stop believing objections are inevitable, you get to the end of the calls with people literally begging you to sign up and avoid all the wrestling that other closers think are normal. In this video, I'm going to show you what a discovery that allows for objectionless deals really looks like, why it allows you to have way more impact on your sales calls, and how doing so will make you way more money every single month. I use this exact framework to go from 0 to 45K per month in high ticket sales, closing over 60% on leads who didn't even know it was a sales call. And I know this works because my students like Angelo, who you'll meet today, have gone from complete beginners to closing way more deals and making way more money in less than 90 days. So let me break down Angelo's call, and that will allow you to see what happens when you actually approach sales the right way and how smooth closing can become. Let's jump in.
Cool. That's good to hear, Claudia. Glad we could connect today. Before
Yeah.
we do that, I just need to let you know as well, the call is being recorded just for training and compliance, okay?
Okay.
Great. So a bit of context on me, Claudia. My name's Angelo. So I'm one of the metabolic advisors here at VShred, and I work quite closely with Vince and the team. So today my role is quite simple, right? Just to hear your fitness goals. What we did amazing. Now the other reason for the call as well, Claudia, is obviously because you did 4 out of 10. Does that come as a surprise to you at all, Claudia?
Uh, not not completely because of my family. I mean, my mother has been overweight and gone through gastric bypass surgery, and
Hmm.
sister, she was well over 250 pounds, and
Okay.
she's
I see.
lost
So
100 pounds this past year. But
okay.
she's over.
Awesome. I see. Okay, no
I've
problem,
always
Claudia.
I've always been the thinner one, and
Right.
I've I'm inching up to 150 now, and I'm just like, I
Hmm.
got to stop it before.
Before it gets worse. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I hear you. Awesome. So before we do dive into that then, Claudia, since I only have ranges on my screen, can I please get your age, your height, and your body weight?
When she said that, what was she thinking? Like when she's like, oh, well, family overweight, mom's overweight, sister's overweight.
Oh, genetics. I was thinking in my head like genetics. She might like think, oh, it's because of how she's her genetics, she's might have problems.
Yeah. So like in my head, I'm thinking, okay, beliefs, part of the triangle. Like, okay,
Mm,
maybe beliefs are not aligned yet, which is fine. You don't necessarily need to handle it, but like back pocket it. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, you could handle it there
100%.
and then, but it's up to you.
Weights at the moment, please.
Um, I am 47. Sorry, my cat just wants. Um, I am almost 5'5",
Hmm.
and I weighed 148 2 weeks ago.
148. Okay.
Mhm.
And what are you looking to achieve specifically working with us at VTrade?
I mean, I would like to be back down to like 125. I think that should be realistic, but I
Okay,
don't know my age.
125. No, it's definitely possible. I mean, if that's where you'd want to be, we can get you there. But is that just like your initial goal, or is that where you'd love to be long term?
That would be long term.
Long term. Okay, so it's a 125. So about like 25 pounds. Awesome. So when was the last time that you were back at 125? How long ago was that?
Um, it would have been before my daughter was born, and she turns 8 this year. So,
Hmm. So about like 9 years ago, you'd say.
yeah.
Okay, 9 years. And over the past 9 years in Claudia, like what specifically have you tried to lose the weight?
I haven't necessarily tried to lose weight. It's just, I've been aging. I had a baby. I I just I guess the last couple years it's just been adding up.
Hmm.
And I went to the doctor a couple weeks ago, and the nurse was like, "You've gained 3 pounds since the last time you were in," and
Hmm.
it was just kind of okay. Someone else is noticing
Hmm. I see.
my
Okay.
is increasing.
And right. So I guess how long would you say you've been wanting to, lose the weight and get back to like 125, even if it was just in the back of your head? How long would you say you've been wanting to do that?
Mm, at least 5 or 6 years.
At least 5 or 6 years. Okay, I understand. And so over the past 5 or 6 years, Claudia, was there nothing that you've tried at all to try lose the weight, even if it was for a few days or not very serious and committed? Was there nothing you've tried ever?
Um, I tried a few exercise things because I was losing muscle tone and
What are you overall doing right now, if you were to describe it? What's your
So right
objective?
now I'm just basically trying to identify, the bottleneck of what's holding her back from being successful. So understanding what she's done over the past 5 or 6 years to sort of figure out where she went wrong and get her to see that so we can help her overcome that so she can be successful moving forward.
So you're looking for the bottleneck, also finding ownership piece to help her take
Mm.
ownership, find what's held her back, and you're just currently like unpacking her strategy. Yeah.
and stuff, but I never necessarily.
So in this video, I won't be really talking much because unless I feel the need to, it's just going to be like we watching this call and seeing, the conversation between me and Dan and his feedback for me.
That stuck with it.
I see. So would you say a bit of inconsistency when you were trying as well?
Yes.
Okay, I understand, Claudia. So I guess knowing that that has been like a challenge for you, Claudia, do you feel like if you continue to be inconsistent that you'd ever have a good shot of getting back to 125 again?
About to do the Dickens pattern, which is like how to make them commit to a new behavioral belief. So he found the bottleneck is inconsistency. Do you feel like if you're inconsistent, you'll ever get there? No, that means they have to change, which is obviously what our sales call is change. So that's the key there.
I see. And I guess since it has been, 9 years for you now, Claudia, what do you feel like that inconsistency has, costed you over these past 9 years in terms of like your health and your fitness, or even just you as a person?
I mean, I don't feel as pretty as I once, you know, am I still attractive to my husband? And, we're having, this year we celebrate our 25th wedding anniversary, and he wants to go on a cruise, and I'm like, oh, I have
Hmm.
to put on a swimsuit. And so,
Okay. I see.
it,
So I guess it's sort of like making you feel not as confident anymore with how you look, you'd say.
right, yeah.
Okay, I hear you, Claudia. So I guess when is the cruise? When is that?
In September,
September. Okay, so we got some work to do before then, right? Cool, cool. So I guess for you, Claudia, knowing that's what it's costed you already, like your confidence, how you look and how you feel, what do you feel like it might continue to cost you later down the road, like if nothing changes and maybe the weight continues to increase?
I know the path that my mother took with sleep apathy and diabetes and blood pressure medicine and
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and she did end up with gastro bypass surgery, knee replacement because our
Hmm.
knees aren't made to carry that much weight.
Yeah, true. So I agree. So, and you actually got to see those consequences firsthand, So I guess knowing that's what it could also cost you in the future, Claudia, and what it's already costing you, would you say you are now ready to commit to being consistent so you can lose the weight?
I'd like to say yes, I want to commit, but I guess I've been inconsistent, and so I don't know if I can be consistent. So,
I hear you. And obviously, since you haven't been inconsistent in the past, it's normal to sort of feel like you're unsure about it, right? But, would it be fair to say, Claudia, that not necessarily because it's like that in the past, it has to stay that way moving forward?
Yes, that's true.
Good.
Because ultimately, Claudia, I'm not going to say it's going to be easy, right? Because it will be hard. But at a certain point, you got to ask yourself, like, which do you feel would be harder for you? Because one side of hard is where you be consistent, you do the hard thing, you stay committed, you lose the weight, and that's going to be hard, right? But the other side of the coin is if, you don't make the change, you don't be consistent, and, you live the rest of your life in a body that's not serving you and could possibly lead to these health consequences. So which do you feel is harder?
It would ultimately be harder in a body that's out of shape and overweight and go down the path that my sister and my mother have gone.
Yeah. What makes you say that that would be harder though, as opposed to trying to being consistent and achieving the goal?
I think they got to the point where it got way too, I mean, to have your stomach like constricted so you can only eat a certain amount. And now that my mom, she can barely eat without getting sick, and she has lots of intestinal issues, and
Right. For sure, because it's scary to live that way, Claudia. So with that in mind, knowing it is going to be hard and it is going to be scary, are you brave enough to make that commitment for you and your family? Because ultimately it does come down to your commitment, right? And it's one thing to try because you've tried in the past. So trying alone isn't going to be good enough. It's going to take your 100% commitment to actually achieve the goal, right? So would you say you are now 100% committed so you can achieve that goal once and for all?
I want to say yes. So
You want to say yes, or you feel like you are ready to do that?
I don't know. That's where I'm like, I kind of signed.
So what are you doing here the last like 1 or 2 minutes? What have you spotted that's a problem, and what are you trying to help her do?
Yeah, so at this point in the call, I realized that she had some fear around her ability to achieve the goal. So she didn't really feel confident that she can do it. So I'm trying to basically help her overcome her fears and show her that, she can actually do this by just basically showing her that, just helping her overcome her own fears and limitations. So
Yeah,
that's pretty
exactly.
much what's happening here.
Yeah, so within 11 minutes of the call, you've tackled the logic. Logically, she can lose 25 pounds from your program. Yeah. With the mindset, there's a lot going on. So there's fear, ownership, and beliefs all going on here. Ownership's sort of taken. Like, I feel like she knows it's her responsibility, but the fact that she's taking responsibility is scaring her. So right now, you're getting rid of the fears and limiting beliefs. Once you do that, the
Right.
mindset's fully covered, and then all we need to do is build a gap. So you're basically just trying to empower her to understand it is her responsibility, but she also can achieve the goal if she genuinely commits. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good.
Signed up in the middle of the night for this because I saw a video and I'm like, I don't know. So is it a waste of money or is it point of work? And if so, do I have to do all the supplements? Because I just did the bare minimum.
That's okay. You don't need supplements, but what I'm also asking, Claudia, aside from the plan, because whether you buy the plan from us or whether you try Weight Watchers or something else, who's ultimately in control of whether or not they make it work?
It's me.
For sure. And in order for you to actually, make it work, Claudia, so you can actually achieve your goals, it's going to take your commitment, right? So if you aren't willing to make that commitment today, Claudia, like the chances of you succeeding and achieving that goal are very slim, because like in the past, you never make that commitment on 100% and it led to you, not being consistent and caused you to put the weight back on. So do you feel, knowing what's the consequences of you not doing this, Claudia, are you prepared to, let that continue to be a reality? Because you're the only one that can change that, right?
Right. Yes, I want to commit.
It's good that you want to commit, but do you feel like you are ready to actually commit though? Because there is a difference.
Good.
I don't know. I just, like I haven't actually started the daily workouts just because I've been sick and my foot's injured and I'm just like, ugh.
That's okay. I mean, that's perfectly fine. Everything, life does happen. I'm not saying like you're in trouble for not doing that, right? But most of what I'm saying is, like, aside from the injuries, just like your commitment to your goal as a whole. Like, do you feel like you are now ready to commit to doing that, knowing that's what it's been costing you and what it could continue to cost you in the future?
Yes, more than in the past for sure.
Okay. You sure?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'm proud of you, Chloe, because it all starts with that commitment, right? So,
Very good. So fear handled, even though it took like 3 goes, that's not like a you problem. It's like she needs her time to overcome it, sort of thing. But you didn't move on, which was key because most people are like, oh, I think so, or yeah, maybe, but then they move on and it's not overcame and then it bites you in the ass at the end. But you didn't move on until you got, yes, I'm ready. So within 30 minutes, all of the mindset work is pretty much done, in my opinion, on this woman. And because of that, she'll open up like a book, I assume, later on.
yeah,
Yeah.
true. So, knowing that it has been 9 years for you, Claudia, what makes it really important for you now that you are ready to commit 100% to achieve your goal? Like, why now is that really important for you?
Um, Probably because my daughter's 7 and she wants me to run around and do things with her, and I just don't have the energy or the strength to
Mm.
do.
I see. Okay. I hear you. When did you start to notice that happen where you can't keep up with your daughter?
Um, Probably just a couple of years ago. I mean, she can run faster than me, and she shouldn't be because my legs are longer.
Okay, so for about a couple of years ago. And I guess since it started a couple of years ago, Claudia, how often do you notice that sort of happening where you can't actually keep up with your daughter like you would like to? How often does that happen?
At least once a week.
At least once a week. Okay, so pretty often then. And for you as a mom then, Claudia, whenever those moments do happen where maybe you can't find yourself keeping up with your daughter, like what does she typically say in those moments when you can't keep up with her?
She's disappointed because we can't play like she wants us to play. She's an only child, and so she wants to play, and I just can't play as long and hard as she can.
I see. And I guess what sort of specific scenarios or situations come to mind, Claudia, where you noticed that, it really bothered you that you couldn't play with her as much as she wanted or you wanted? Like, what sort of scenarios would come to mind when that makes you say that?
It's really just running around. I mean, I ran track in high school and was pretty fast. Um,
Why are you asking her for like specific situations rather than asking her how it feels to not play with her daughter?
Yeah, so the reason I'm doing that is because, when we get them to recall specific scenarios where, they actually lived and experienced the pain, that's going to obviously help them feel it a lot more than me just asking them, how does that make you feel? Because they're actually reliving those moments that are the reasons that they're not happy. So, you know, that's
Good.
pretty much why.
Yeah. So recall specific situations, they replay the images in their head, they evoke certain negative emotions, and it's like more real for her than being like, how does it make you feel you haven't got energy, which is like not going to move the needle. Yeah, but good. So
Exactly.
they're currently in deep pain, so her current pain, which is one of the key pillars to a good emotional part of the call.
I mean, I wasn't Olympic, speed, but
Mm.
um, I ran track, and I should be able still to be able to run.
Yeah,
Uh,
I hear you. And I guess for you then, Claudia, like, why does that bother you that you can't actually keep up with your daughter? Like, why is that, why are you not happy with that?
because I know that at one point I could have, if because I was almost 40 when we had her.
Mhm.
Um, if I had had her 20 years earlier, probably no problem. But seeing that I'm an older mother, um, and I see, you know, I'm at programs with other young mothers with their 7-year-olds, and they're
Mm.
fine keeping up with them, and I'm an
Mhm.
older mother that just doesn't have the
Mm.
energy if I was a younger mother.
Well, for you, Claudia, do you feel like it's just about the age, or do you feel like it's also about, the extra weight and because of that, the lack of energy?
I don't know.
Because if you were to think of it, right, Claudia, once you do lose the 25 pounds, your energy increases. Do you feel like you would then be able to keep up with her better than compared to now?
Oh yeah, I think
Mm.
definitely.
Of course. So, it's not only about the age, it's more so about the health and the extra weight that's, really hindering in that sense. So for you as a mom, Claudia, that, wants to be able to do that for their daughter.
Good. So that was like a belief thing again. I can't play with her because I'm older, but actually you reframed her and showed, well, maybe that's true, but also you're not helping yourself carrying an extra 25 pounds. Yeah,
Mm. One thing I feel I should have done there to make it better was ask her if she agrees first before moving on, instead of just telling her.
good stuff.
And you're seeing all these other mums, keep up with their like kids and stuff like that. Whenever you mention, like you mentioned, like your daughter gets disappointed when you can't keep up with her, how does that normally make you feel as a mom in those moments?
That I'm letting her down. Um,
Mm.
that I don't know.
And for you, Claudia, like, do you feel like, your daughter deserves for you to be letting her down in that aspect?
She doesn't deserve that for sure. Um,
Mm. What makes you say that?
I don't know. I guess my mother was overweight, and so I wanted to be able to do things with her and couldn't.
Mm.
And so I don't want my daughter to feel the same.
Yeah, because you obviously got to, suffer the same sort of, upbringing since your mom was also dealing with the same sort of situation. So, knowing that's something you struggled with as well, as growing up, Claudia, what's that been like for you over these past few years, knowing that, you've been disappointing your daughter and, every single week or so you can't keep up with her and she ends up being disappointed. Like, what's that been like for you as a mom?
Good.
Definitely not been encouraging, but I guess I haven't used it as energy to make the change.
For sure. And
Get me
that's,
down.
Framing of the question is like really good. I just want to like make people aware. But like the way you're asking it is very much, okay, all these bad things are going on. What's it like for you? But it's also your responsibility that you chose it. Yeah. It's not like poor you. It's these things are bad and I don't like this happening to you, but it's still your fault.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And there's not like it's way worse. Like you can highlight problems in people's lives, but if you highlight problems in people's lives and they realize it's their fault, it's way more painful. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Versus give me energy to push through and make that change.
And that's a big part of why we have these calls, right, Claudia? Because when you actually uncover these things, it's going to help you have the emotional leverage to be consistent moving forward. So that's why we actually have these calls. It is in your best interest. And obviously, I know you obviously have a husband, Claudia. Like, what does your husband think of the fact that, because of the inconsistency, to have you in this position where, you're not happy with how things are when it comes to keeping up with your daughter, and, you don't like the way you look as well. Like, what does he think of that?
I don't know. We don't really, our life is so chaotic and we're both running, I feel, in different circles. We don't pause and talk about those kind of things.
So he isn't really aware of how the extra weight is affecting you as much as you know.
I mean, he's aware that because my jeans have gotten tighter and, you know,
But I guess more so about the underlying issue of, you feeling like you're letting your daughter down, like over these past few years. If he were to know about that, Claudia, what do you feel he would think of that? If that's how you've been feeling, do you feel like he would be happy about that?
he wouldn't be happy that I feel that way, for sure.
So you feel like he would also want you to, fix the, achieve your goals and be able to be the best mom you can be. Do you feel like he would want that for you too?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. That's good to hear, Claudia. And I guess for you then, Claudia.
Good. So that's like collecting the partner's perspective. Maybe you could have went a little bit more, but it's still evidently enough because how that call ends that you told me, which we'll show a bit later on, that the partner has skin in the game for her to want the change. Yeah, which is good.
Yeah, like how much longer do you feel like you want to let that inconsistency, have you in this position where, you can't actually be the mom you want to be and you're letting your daughter down, like you mentioned, and you're having to worry about, possible health concerns later down the road? Like how much longer do you want to continue living that way?
I don't.
You don't? Okay, awesome. I'm happy to hear that, Claudia. So for you, Claudia, when I actually do put you in a position where in the next 3 to 6 months, you finally get back to 125, but more importantly, you can maintain that long term, what do you feel like that's truly going to do for you personally after not being there for about 9 years now?
I think I'll have a better outlook on life, positive. I'll feel good. I mean, I suffer from anxiety, non-anxiety medicine, and maybe that'll help relieve some of that pressure. And I would love to get off that kind of medication.
Of course, that's definitely possible. So when you do have, you lose the extra weight, you have the energy gain, what are you most looking forward to doing in your life, or what do you feel like would change the most for you?
I guess feeling good about myself. I just, I guess look down on myself too much. And so.
I see. I hear you, Claudia. And, knowing what you sort of seen with your mom go through her consequences, what do you feel like it's going to be like for you as a mom when you're able to, achieve this goal, not just for you, but also for your daughter so that she can actually enjoy all the moments she spends with you and you can keep up with it? What do you feel like that's going to be like for you as a mom?
It'll be fun. And so, and we can have fun together. I mean, yesterday she wanted me to get in her little splash pool with.
Obviously, emotional leverage, deep pain's done, but like the future pacing, very certain language, like you're flipping all the scenarios that we got that she hates about her life right now into positives. That's all you're doing. Yeah. Which makes future pace way easier because if you know exactly what they don't want, then it's very easy to understand what they do want. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. True.
Third. I was hesitant, just because on a swimsuit and stuff. But it was once I was in.
Yeah, and I guess from her perspective then, Claudia, knowing that, she's only known the part of you that can't keep up with her for the past few years, what do you feel like the look is going to be like on her face when you keeping up with her as good as she is hoping you can? Like, what do you feel like how do you feel she would feel about that?
Good.
I think she would be happy and excited, and I mean, she'd want to race me down our driveway.
For sure.
And it could be competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, for you, Claudia, when you actually get to this position where, you've lost the extra weight, you like how you look, you like how you feel, you have the energy, you don't have to worry about these health conditions and, you're excited to put on a bathing suit if you want to go in the pool with your daughter and for the trip that's coming up in September, right? When you're actually living in that new reality, Claudia, how do you genuinely feel that's going to make you feel after not having that for so long?
Good.
It would make the hard work worth it.
100%, right? And would you say you are ready to become that person now, Claudia?
Yes, I want to.
Awesome. I'm happy for you, Claudia. And do you also believe it's possible? Because that's also important as well.
It is. I mean, my sister has, like I said, she was over 250 and she's lost over 100 pounds this past year. And just to watch her shrink, I mean, she's not nearly where she wants to be, but just to watch her drop pounds. And I know it's difficult.
For sure, 100%.
I don't weigh nearly what she once did.
Exactly. So it's going to be a walk in the park for you, especially because, I know we can help you
I
get
haven't
there.
weighed it until I was 250.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're getting ahead of it now, right? Because, I know we can help you get.
So she was very fearful at the start, just checking again to make sure she isn't fearful now. Yeah, cool.
There, Claudia, but if we were to be honest with each other, there is another side of the coin where you don't make the right sort of changes when it comes.
I do personally think, like, I know you're about the consequence, which is good. I personally think if you pitched her now, she would have closed. because logically it made sense. Emotionally, there's a big enough gap. Beliefs, no limiting beliefs, no fears, extreme ownership. Partner's perspective is basically a sell already, but might as well just put the icing on the cake with consequence. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Comes to that consistency, So if that were to be the case for you, Claudia, and the next 9 years continue like the last have, what do you feel like that would look like for you in your life if nothing changes?
Hmm. I don't I don't know if I want to imagine that. And just sadness and regret and
Good.
Mm.
what ifs.
Yeah,
I
and I guess aside from obviously how it would make you feel, Claudia, what do you feel like that could lead to you if in the future? What do you feel like that could lead to happening for you if nothing changes and the weight keeps coming on?
um that I continue to gain weight a little every year, and the sizes of my pants have to go up and up, and my self-esteem would continue to go down.
Mm. I see. And knowing what happened with your mom, Claudia, like knowing that's a possible reality for you, where you could also face those health concerns if you don't make a change. Who else in your life do you feel like that would affect if it does get to that point as well?
Well, definitely my husband and my daughter, the immediate people.
Mm.
Um,
I see. And knowing what you got to see that happen with your mom, Claudia, what do you feel like it would be like for your daughter if she also sees the same thing, like for you if she grows up to see that? How would that be for her?
Good.
and be sad. Um,
Mm. And knowing that's obviously not what you would have wanted for your daughter, knowing because you've seen it with your mom, how do you feel it would make you feel at that point, looking back at life, knowing you could have prevented that from happening?
Hmm.
really disappointed in myself, not just letting me down, but her down.
I hear you. And
What allows you to, because some people say, I don't want to ask that, it's too uncomfortable. What allows you to keep asking it, even if it seems uncomfortable to other people?
for me, the biggest thing was just getting completely detached from the outcome of the call. So before I was too worried about, losing the sale or losing the opportunity to pitch someone, I was worried about, oh, they might get offended if I ask this question, or they might not, might leave the call. But once I started like, not really caring about the outcome of the call and just being present and following the process to the T,
Mm.
that's when I really started to be able to ask these deep questions, even though they are, uncomfortable. And even for me, like I can feel her pain when I'm asking these questions. So the
Yeah.
biggest thing was just being detached from the call for me personally, I would say.
Okay. Good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just wondering because I know some people think like, oh, do you actually have to ask that? And you don't have to, but there is a definite benefit. Because I get that as well. Like, even when I role play, sometimes I'm like, I feel it in my chest, some of the questions I ask, but like, it has to be
Yeah,
asked. I can't let that like feeling in my chest not let me ask it, you know?
exactly. Because like you mentioned, like on a call the other day, that's where the sales are made, in those dark, those deep questions we ask in discovery, you
Exactly.
know.
Exactly. The new perspectives are good.
And a lot of people tend to settle for that, right, Claudia? Like you mentioned, your mom ended up going through that route. But why are you not prepared to settle for that being your reality in the future? Like, why don't you want to settle for that?
I think, I mean, one of the reasons I was hesitant to have children to begin with was because I didn't want to become my mother. Um, and and so I just don't want to go down that path. Um,
Hmm. Of course, I'm happy to hear that for you, Claudia, because I know we can help you get there, Claudia. There's no doubt in my mind. But ultimately, whose responsibility is it to do the work?
Good.
it's me.
For sure, and we can help you and be there with you every single step of the way, Claudia, to ensure you actually achieve your goals. But would you say you are now 100% committed to making that a reality for yourself and your family?
Yes.
Awesome. I'm so proud of you for saying that, Claudia, and I'm really excited for you. So
Oh, okay. We'll show that this woman had no objections, but when you reflect on the call, if you were to break it down, why did she not give you objections?
for me, I would say it comes down to three big parts that I did underscore, which was the first one is overcoming her limiting beliefs around her ability to achieve the goal and just knowing that she can do it and showing her that she's been the problem, so that she's not thinking, oh, is this program going to be the one for me, right? Putting it all on her.
Mhm.
The second one was building a good gap, a big enough gap, making her feel the pain of her situation and knowing that she doesn't want to continue like that. And thirdly, I would say is getting the partner's perspective so that she doesn't actually give me a partner objection at the end. And that's why I feel like there was no objection because I ticked off all those boxes and she really felt all the pain on throughout the whole call.
Good stuff. Yeah. So I agree that that's the reason she didn't give you an objection. And when you were saying that about the partner's perspective, another thing that may not be true, but the way I like to view it is the only thing that would cause a woman to go against their partner is her kids. Yeah. So if you're
Mm,
unpacking everything and it's all very painful around the kids, there's no way that this woman's going to prioritize her husband's feelings over her kids' feelings.
All right. I don't even think of that.
I'm
True,
not
true.
I'm not saying that that's why you didn't get it, but I think that she would if she gave you an objection and you're like, well, it's either your husband or your daughter, I think she'd pick
Mm.
the daughter. You know,
Yeah, I
even if
agree.
she did give you
For
partner
sure.
objection, which I don't know if she gives you like a semi one or she we'll see in a second, but there's so much pain around her daughter, which is like a mother's responsibility in world that like there's nothing that's
Mm.
gonna get in the way.
Yeah, because if I'm not mistaken, even in deep pain, future pace, and consequence, I think I got the perspective of the daughter
Yeah,
in all three
exactly.
sections. So
Exactly. Like
yeah,
you went for the identity level of mother mainly and her. You know, it weren't really
mm,
like a wife conversation, it was a her and a mother conversation, which is fine. We still unpack the partner as well, but she only moved because those things are serious. Like she doesn't like her reality, she doesn't like her reality as a mum either. Yeah,
yeah,
good stuff.
yeah.
That's the ending of the call.
I'm willing to put in the time and even cut out things that I do spend money on to
Mm.
save
Should
it
go a bit
for
back.
this.
Awesome. And in this
Get back. I guess I'm willing to invest the money and stuff. It's just
thing, go
my
more
husband.
to emotions, right? It's just a sign that you will be successful. But I guess I'm just curious, what makes you want to do it, even though you are a bit scared and nervous and excited? Like, what makes you want to do it, even though you're feeling like that?
I guess I'm willing to invest the money and stuff. It's just my husband. He is a very tight budgeted person, and will he see the value in it too?
Mm.
Like I intentionally scheduled this call when he was not going to be at home.
Okay. I
I don't
guess,
know if he's going to. I mean, yes, he's on board for me to get back in shape and lose the
mm,
weight. Um,
yeah,
but
for sure.
he doesn't necessarily want to spend the money.
Mm,
And
I hear you. And obviously, he's not here today. He doesn't actually know how this extra weight is affecting you, right, Claudia? But what I'm curious, you know the value in this and you know the benefit of, how it's not just going to help you, but also him and the family, right? So that you don't ever have to end up like your mom. So I guess what makes you brave enough to still commit and make that decision for yourself, knowing that your husband might not be okay with it at first?
um, I'm willing to put in the time and even cut out things that I do spend money on to
Mm,
save it for this.
awesome. And what I will say about you, Claudia, I'm extremely proud of you for making this step because a lot of people will fall into the trap.
So she closes from there, objectionless. But as you see, like most people get to the end of the call, partner, I can't overcome partner. She problem solved it herself. Yeah. It's like you just asked her what makes you willing to do it, despite the fact
Mm,
he maybe wouldn't be on board. And she's like, well, I'm going to get resourceful. I'm going to find the time. I'm going to, cut out certain things that allow me to pay for it rather than him. That's pretty much what she said, which is obviously why this
yeah.
is so good. Okay.
Yeah, and
Anything
then
you
the,
want to add
the
to that?
rest, no, nothing on add. I was just gonna say for the people that might be confused, the last bit of the call from here onwards was just going through financing because we're having a lot of technical difficulties. That's why it took so long after that.
Yeah, yeah, I see this like that long, but it didn't take him that long to close
But
it.
yeah, I think it also kept recording even once we left the call, which was weird. So that
Okay,
too.
okay. But yeah, very, very good call. And that's exactly why if you sell this way, where it's more like truth-based coaching, helping people get out of their own way, getting rid of limiting beliefs, getting rid of the fears, helping hold the mirror up in all areas of their life, it's like a no-brainer sell for them. And they're actually happy. As you can see, she's happy to do it. She's not like scared or crying because we transformed her before we pitched. The thing is, even though you now know what a human transformation call looks like, there's one more thing you need to do, which is actually know how to do it yourself. Because otherwise, if you don't, people like Angelo will keep destroying you. And if you want to learn the process yourself so you can make way more commissions, click this full playlist here, which gives away my whole framework for free.
That was a good call. That was a really good call. One of my best calls, I would say. And hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope anyone watching this found value in that. And yeah, I mean overall really good call, especially helping overcome of limiting beliefs of fear, all that sort of stuff, and you know digging into the pain, helping us see how painful our reality is, of not actually making the right changes and focusing on our health, and our fitness, and obviously the consequences of what could happen later down the road, if nothing changes. And as you saw, when it got to the end of the call, she had no objections. She knew that her partner might not be okay with her spending the money, but she was prepared to do it either way. She was even prepared to cut out stuff that she spends on to make this work. So that's a beautiful example of, when you do a solid, deep, good discovery, everything else just falls into place. You don't have to fight and convince someone at the end of the call that this is the best thing for them because you show them that before we get to the pitch and we get to the money. So then they're like, oh, that's too much money. They're not like that's too much money. They might think, okay, that is a lot of money, but it's worth it, and I'm gonna do whatever I can to make it work because I don't want to continue living like this. So that's that was a solid call overall. Let's leave a comment here as well. So that's the end of the video for today. But before we end off, I just want to give a quick shout out to my mentor, Daniel Smith, who is an amazing coach, an amazing closer, amazing person, amazing friend. So anyone watching this that's, is inspired by the video and wants to, learn how to get into sales or focus on improving their life, even if you're not in sales, Daniel's channel will help you tremendously. He has a ton of all these videos are extremely valuable. If you are someone that's serious about leveling up, not just in sales, but in life as a person, becoming a better person, leveling up, improving your mindset, I would highly recommend you subscribe to Daniel's channel and watch all his videos. It will really change your life and help you for the better. So that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for sticking through to the end. And as always, if you want to follow my journey a bit closer, my social media links will be in the description down below. So make sure to follow me on social media. And I'll look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Have an amazing day. Bye.